Welcome back, eSIM Studios podcast live stream, episode number 207. I want to thank everybody for joining us today as we roll into the technology headlines that's making news on this Tuesday afternoon, October 1st, 2024. I want to thank Brian for joining us early. Always a fantastic time when Brian joins us. Thank you for essentially watching every live stream. We'll really appreciate it. Thank you, Brian, among all the others as well. So thank you very much. If you do miss some of these stories, we're going to try to roll through these quick. Try not to make this too long, but we're going to hit on S25 Ultra leaks, the dummy unit leaks, or the mold for the case company's leak. We have a new Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus. The new Plus models of Chromebooks have now entered the market, and we'll get into what qualifies as a Chromebook Plus, and we'll get into the specs of this new Samsung Chromebook as well as Android 16 making an early visit, and we're yet to see Android 15. Surprised to see that, but we have news on that you're not going to want to miss. And we have OnePlus 13 full specs leaked, the whole unit as far as the spec sheet, right? So we'll get into that. And then we also know what it's going to look like. So we will get into that as well. If you do miss any one of these stories, you can always go to YouTube, type in eSIM Studios. You can catch the replay. Also uploading each individual story as a clip, right? So you can go back and watch specifically the OnePlus 13 leak or the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus. And you can also take us on the go. We are also audio only, right? So you can catch our audio only podcast on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube Music, on Amazon Music, on iHeartRadio app, whatever you want to, whatever your preference, we are available, even Samsung Podcasts. So I believe we're still on the homepage of Samsung Podcasts. Haven't checked in a week or so, but it's all good. Simply search eSIM Studios in your favorite podcast app, and we will pop up. All right, so let's get into the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus, right? So I have, we know what it looks like. We know the specs, and we'll get into, so some of these features you're going to find on this new Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus, AI features, quote unquote, air quotes if you're listening to this audio. We'll get into what qualifies as a Galaxy Chromebook Plus, right? Because only models with that meets a certain threshold in specs qualifies for a Plus variant of the Chromebook. So, quick backstory. I'm actually running this stream on a Chromebook, right? So, I've had this Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. I got a couple other laptops, but I've had this Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. It's the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook 2. It's got 8 gigs of RAM. It's got 128 gigs of storage. It's got a nice LED display, 13.3 inches. Now, it has the Intel Core 10th Gen i3 processor, which is plenty fast for a Chromebook. Even though it's a few years old, these Chromebooks don't take much to push. That's why you see, and thankfully they're starting to phase out. Do you remember when the pandemic hit and all these kids were at home and schools were issuing Chromebooks? Well, those Chromebooks suck, right? But technically you can run a Chrome OS machine or a laptop on like 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. You're essentially running a browser. It's a Chrome-based, browser-based operating system. But for the heavy workload I do, which on my laptops I have at least 32 gigs of RAM, but that's because you're running a heavy operating system in Windows. Chrome, it's pretty easy. Now, on my Galaxy Chromebook 2, I I've enabled RAM expansion. So it has 8 gigs of RAM, but I boosted an extra 4 gigs of RAM. So it essentially has 12 gigs of RAM. So you're allocating 4 gigs out of that 128 gigs of storage. You're allocating 4 of that to the RAM. So I have 12 gigs of RAM basically, and I don't know what it is. Probably with the operating system, 120 gigs of storage, which is actually, it's been running fine. Surprisingly enough, it's holding up. So you're going to see these you're going to see these AI features that are going to be released specifically in this new Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus. It's a mouthful. Pause. You're going to see these AI features that's going to come out the box with this new device. You're going to see all these AI features eventually roll into the Chromebooks that have already been released. Now, one good thing about Chrome OS is that they're good for like, I think 8 years, or is it 8 or 10 years? So Google will update these. So if you get a good spec Chromebook, could last basically for 8 or 10 years, whatever the life of their updates are. Now, let's get into this. So let me show you this new device that they are releasing, okay? So let's get into it right now. I put together a little video for everybody. Let me go ahead and share this screen and you will see what it looks like. It's very, very cool. I don't know if many of you have tried Chrome OS. I'm actually surprised. Now, it's been about a year since I even opened up this Chromebook. I've been using it every day for the last couple of weeks, and I've been surprised. In the past, as I mentioned, it's been sitting in the closet for a year. Now, before that year, as I was using it in the past, it was not enough. I would overload it. Basically, I'm a power user, and it would basically bog the operating system down, and it would get real sluggish and or crash. Now it seems like Google has updated the operating system numerous times, and just in these 2 weeks that I've been using it, I think I've had 2 major software updates. So if it can handle everything I do right now, they've updated it tremendously over the last year. Specifically, I think as of recently, it's been able to handle everything. So now I'm like, well, shit. Now I could use this, but there are some functions that I do need from Windows, and it's more developer based. There's toolkits, there's Windows programs that I need to run that are specific to Windows. But if you do everything, if you can do everything from your phone, like run a business or communicate or do your hobbies or daily work on your phone, you can do it on Chrome OS. So you have the full Android operating system available. Basically, almost every single app is available on the Play Store, right? And if you do everything from a browser, Chrome browser, should be able to do everything from these Chromebooks. So if it can handle my workload, should be able to handle yours. You don't need a 32 gig version. 8 gigs is enough, honestly. I'd prefer a 16 gig, but look, I've been running fine. And again, I did allocate 4 gigs of RAM expansion, so basically 12 gigs of RAM, and it's been running great. Now, let me show you what this looks like. So here we have, can you hear me? Let's see, can everybody hear? Yeah, y'all can hear me. So this is the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. This is, let me rewind it here. So here is the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. This is Samsung's latest premium Chromebook. It combines a big screen with a thin and light body. So it's been about a year since Google first announced its Chromebook Plus initiative. It's a higher spec of hardware that also combines software features you won't find on more basic Chromebooks, like the crappy ones I was talking about with like 4 gigs of RAM, the older ones. It's basically the newer ones with better specs. So Google's getting into a pretty consistent every 6-month cadence with these updates. So today we're hearing more about some of this new hardware, as well as some new AI powered features coming to various Chromebooks. So this new Chromebook hardware, probably the most interesting update we're hearing about today's news in this hardware from Samsung, is that the Galaxy Chromebook Plus, look, some of their attempts at making high-end Chromebooks in the past, but none have really hit across the board as far as I'm concerned, hardware, software, and this one looks like it will fit the build. So Google says it's the thinnest and lightest Chromebook Plus model at just 2.5 pounds and less than half an inch thick. So despite all that small size, it includes a 15.6-inch OLED display, making it sound like this laptop will be similar to the 15-inch MacBook Air in feel. From a specs perspective, it has an Intel Core 3 100U model. It's got 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM. Specs that should be more than enough for a good Chrome OS experience. So Samsung is claiming 13 hours of battery life. We don't know if we will really see that, but that's what they're claiming. So too many Chromebooks tout long battery life and completely miss that mark of battery life stated. So I'm looking forward to seeing if this can live up to that 13-hour battery life. This is also the first Chromebook with a new key. This key is called Quick Insert. The Quick Insert key replaces the existing launcher key where you'd find all caps on most Windows laptops, and it brings up a glorified right-click menu that does feel potentially more modern and useful. So this new Quick Insert key, you'll find options for Gemini-powered Help Me Write functions, emojis, GIF search, and a list of recently opened websites. A Google Drive search field for some other tools. Samsung's Galaxy Chromebook Plus is the first laptop with this specialized key. Older Chromebooks can also pull up the menu, the AI menu, with a quick keyboard search cut, pressing the launcher key and F at the same time. So this Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus is going to cost $699 out the box, making it the most expensive Chromebook Plus model we've seen yet. There's no exact release date, but it should be available this month. Now, getting into some of these perks and other software updates, as we've mentioned with this new Gemini feature, at each of the last two premium Chromebooks that were held and released, the company has teased new software features that would come in the future, and this one is going to have it. Probably the biggest is Gemini-powered Help Me Read, which can essentially, in Google's words, summarize PDF files, articles, websites, links, all with a right click. It's something Google's talked about for a while, and this is the first implementation we will see of this feature. Now, Google says that an update next year will let you highlight specific paragraphs and sentences you want more detail on. A couple of other new features include Live Translate, which uses AI automatically to generate captions for whatever is on your computer screen, including video, calls, movies, files, or a live YouTube stream. Now, it also has another cool feature. The other cool feature is the Recorder app. So the Recorder app can automatically create transcripts from what it records. So complete with different speakers, different voices, and summaries of the topic. Live Translate is already available on Pixel phones, as well as the Recorder app. And it is also a not real big surprise seeing them implement this into Chrome OS. I'm glad they do, because I actually use a couple of those features on my Pixel 9 Pro XL. And finally, Google's making an audio and video quality on video calls better. So they're using studio style mic, quote unquote. That's a new feature that uses AI to reduce noise, reverberation, and your video output can be automatically adjusted for better lighting. These features will work across any video call platform you choose to use on your Chromebook, not just a Google Meet or not just Zoom. It'll be across the board, right? The above features are exclusive to Chromebook Plus models only, but Google has a handful of updates coming to all Chrome OS devices. For starters, all new Chromebook purchases come with 3 months of Google One AI Premium Plan, which includes Gemini Advanced, 2 terabytes of storage, and Gemini in Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Gmail. Chromebook Plus buyers still get those features for a whole year, as announced in May. Given that it's $20 a month, or it's worth $20 a month, which is a solid perk. So Google's making it easier for Chromebook users to use Gemini by including a shortcut to Gemini Chat right in the Chrome OS taskbar. Other features include Google's introducing, which is they first teased back in May, One, and it's just called One, ONE, is a focused timer which implores you to pick an urgent task and a playlist and a timer. Then you'll go into do not disturb mode while you work and while you're trying to get a specific task done. There's also a welcome back feature that pops up when you log into your laptop. It pulls together apps and pages it thinks go together when your specific time, whenever you sit down, open up your Chromebook, whatever you usually do at that time of the day, it'll pull up the apps and the tabs that you most currently use, whether you have a workflow or you always upload or you always live stream like I do in the afternoon. It'll pull up StreamYard, it'll pull up my website, esimstudios.app. It'll pull up all the news stuff for me and just get ready to roll, which is pretty nice. There's no specifics on when exactly all these AI features will be rolling out, but it is scheduled to start rolling out. The Chrome OS features to older devices is expected to roll out over the next few months, and then this new Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus is expected to launch later this month. Now it's $699. It's a pretty hefty price, right? So if you're trying to decide, damn, should I go with a Windows laptop or with a Chromebook? Honestly, if you do not need to run any Windows programs, like if you get a laptop and like if you just have a regular Windows laptop and you always get on Chrome and you always, you do emails, you do video chats, things of that sort where you're not running Windows programs, because that's where I run into an issue where I have to go back to a Windows laptop, is when I need to run an exe file. It's a Windows file, Windows program, and that's it, right? Like as I mentioned, I've been using this for the last 2 weeks, and it does everything I need it to. So what you're getting is probably this new Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus will be the very best Chromebook you can buy when it's released. It'll have all the bells and whistles you could imagine for $699, and I'm sure you could find a deal. Best Buy, I'm sure you could find a deal, maybe knocking $100 off, or if you order it on Samsung, trade-in offers pretty good. So even if you wait a month or two, it could go on sale. So even if, let's just say $600, if you don't get it right when it's launched, maybe wait a month or so, $600. So you're getting a pretty good Chrome OS device. Now, as I mentioned, Google updates these, I believe it's 8 years. Or you can go Windows. Now, if for $600, you're not really getting a loaded Windows laptop. You're getting subpar performance, subpar CPU, probably not getting 32 gigs of RAM, probably 8 to 16, which is still not enough on Windows computers. And for a lot of users, Windows devices bog down and or get a little sluggish over time. this laptop that I'm using now, this Chromebook, I believe is 2, maybe 3 years old, and it's still very snappy and very fast. That's what you get in a very light operating system in Chrome OS. Windows, very heavy operating system, very easy to get bogged down, and the choice is yours. This might tempt me. I might get this, I might not, but it looks like a cool feature. One thing that I was looking for before we move on, and we'll end it here. One thing I was trying to look into, does it have any Samsung apps? Because honestly, that was the reason why I purchased this Samsung Galaxy Chromebook 2. I thought, hey, it's a Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. I'm expecting it to have Samsung apps like the Samsung browser. And then when I bought this back then, they had Samsung QuickShare and some other Samsung specific apps only. This does not have any Samsung apps. Now, you can go to the Play Store and you can download Samsung apps on this. But I do not know if any Samsung apps are available on this new Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus. I just don't know. I know when I bought it, I was expecting, as I mentioned, this to have Samsung apps. It did not. It was a big bummer for me because now look, the reason why I wanted Samsung apps is because I could pair, if you have a Samsung laptop and a Samsung phone, boom, they pair beautifully. Kind of like an iPhone and a MacBook, right? Well, I guess it really doesn't matter now because now on the Chrome OS, they have this new feature called Phone Hub, where no matter if you have a Pixel, no matter if you have a nothing phone, no matter if you have a OnePlus, no matter if you have a Samsung, it will pair to your phone beautifully with the Phone Hub app, and you can sync whatever you want, phone calls, text messages, everything. I can text from my Chromebook here while I get a message on my phone. So I guess as we go on, that's getting less and less important. No matter what phone you have, it should pair wonderfully. I don't know how an iPhone would pair to this. I guess we'll find out here in the next couple of weeks whenever we get ours delivered. But definitely interesting. And I don't think, as of right now, it's a bad choice. Again, if you don't use any Windows only or Windows specific programs, you'll be fine with a high-end Chromebook. I do not recommend a cheap Chromebook like a 4 gigs of RAM Chromebook. Don't do it. You'll be disappointed. It will lock up on you and will get sluggish. The very least, you're going to need 8 gigs of RAM. And then you can also, I may make a video about that where I'll show you how to expand your RAM, right? It's not hard, but it's not that easy. It's not just something you just click in the settings. You actually have to go, well, it's a little process, but it's not that hard. So you can actually buy an 8 gig of RAM Chromebook and then allocate for another 4 or 8 gigs of RAM to that device. So it is what it is. But if you buy a higher end Chromebook now, I think they're good to go. No more sluggish, no more cheap feeling, especially if you get a nice one with a good AMOLED screen. They're actually pretty nice. So I might pick up that new one. Who knows? But let's move on. Let's see here. What do we have next? So, speaking of Samsung, we basically know what the S25 is going to look like in renders, right? So it's going to take a little bit of a design change. It's going to have a more rounded corners. So it's going to look like the S24 Plus, just a bigger model with an S Pen. Basically, it's the best way to explain it. Now, we've seen renders, computer-aided design, CAD designs of the S25 Ultra, but now you get to see and kind of get an idea of just how big it will be and how it looks while in somebody's hand. Now, it's not the actual device, but a case company got a hold of one of these dummy units, and this is what Samsung sends Spigen. This is what Samsung sends Nilkin, right? What's going on, Nilkin? They're subscribed to the channel and watch all the time. We'll use Nilkin. Now, Nilkin did not put this out. I'm not putting it on them. I'm just using them as an example. There is a case company that got a hold of this dummy unit and basically is showing it off to the world behind the scenes, right? Not supposed to. Shame on you. But they did, and a lot of leaks get out this way. Look, this is very common. It looks like just a generic case company because they show the case for it too. But let's show you what it looks like. I got it right here. Sorry, I'm gonna pull it up right now. Now it's in all metal, so it does look a little weird, right? Like, you're like, what the hell? That's normally dummy units look like a real phone, except the display doesn't turn on, right? Or it's empty on the inside. This one's like an all metal design, but this is actually how they use for molding cases, right? They got to fit the case around the phone. Well, this is exactly how they do it. They send these molds out to these case companies, and then they can design their case around the phone, essentially. And that's how you get these devices, that's how you get these cases to fit. So this is the exact size it's going to be. Again, looks pretty damn similar to the S24, S24 Plus, just a little bigger. Not much of a design change. Now look, there is one thing that is different. So I've been stated in the past it's going to have a Squircle camera sensors on the back, which is basically it's a circle and a square combined. So it's not a square, it's not a circle, it's a Squircle, if that makes sense. And that appears to be incorrect. It looks like the device is going to have rounded sensors like the previous Ultras, right? S24 Ultra, S23 Ultra, and it looks like the only difference is it's going to have rounded corners, rounded edges. And I'm sure it'll have smaller bezels like the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max compared to last year's iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. So there it is. I believe it's still going to carry a 6.82-inch display. Should be. Maybe a little bigger now, 6.9 now that they're going to reduce the bezels. But same general design. If you have an S24 Plus and you like it, you're going to like this one. It's a little bigger, but again, it has to carry an S Pen. But it is what it is, right? Now, if we get any more information, I'll let you know. It's going to have new Snapdragon 8 Gen 4. It's going to have all the latest and greatest Samsung can push and or cram into that small area. Now, speaking of Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, I have a treat for y'all. So, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 is expected to be announced and released this month. Literally within, I think, 2 weeks or so, we're going to get Qualcomm's going to have their announcement of the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, right? Look. Now, normally Qualcomm releases their flagship CPU at the very end of the year, like around December. Seems like everything's getting pushed up, and speaking of that, Android 16 is getting pushed up, but we'll talk on that later. But back to the Qualcomm. So Snapdragon. So they're announcing and releasing the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 in just a couple of weeks. And what is going to be the very first device that's going to be carrying this new beast of a CPU? OnePlus 13. That's correct. They're moving up their launch for their phone as well. The OnePlus 12, I think, was released at the very beginning of the year, maybe second week of January. So they're moving forward the launch of their flagship device, and that's going to be released, I believe, a week or 10 days after the announcement and launch of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4. So you'll see Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 released this month, in a couple weeks, mid-October. And then you're going to see late October, OnePlus is going to announce and release the OnePlus 13. And today we got full specs of that OnePlus 13, and I also have what it's going to look like. So let's jump into the specs, shall we? So here we go. These are full specs of the new upcoming OnePlus 13. So it's going to have a 6.82 inch full depth micro curved display. So what's a micro curved display? Micro curved display means it's going to be slightly curved. So this year you are going to see a little bit of a design change. The back, minor design change. The front, the OnePlus 12 was one of the last phones with a curved display. Seems like everybody's going for a flat display now. OnePlus is going to kind of have a flat display. So for the most part, just looking at it in your hand, it will be a flat display. However, it's going to have a quote-unquote micro curved display around all four sides. So not just barely curved on the sides where it's traditionally curved, but it's also going to be on the top and bottom slightly micro curved as well to give it a full display look. So when you're looking at the phone and you're holding it up to your face, you're not going to be able to see the bezels around the sides. It's just going to be all display. I think this is going to look badass, and I cannot wait to see it. So micro curved display around all four sides. It's going to have the BOE X2, which is typically for display manufacturers and suppliers. There's two that most manufacturers go for. So Samsung produces a majority of displays for mobile devices, and then there's another company named BOE. Apple uses both. Apple uses both Samsung and BOE to manufacture and supply their displays. I think nothing uses Samsung. I know OnePlus used to use Samsung, and I think they're going all in on BOE this year again. And Google, I believe they use Samsung for their displays. But this OnePlus 13 is using BOE. Low brightness, 2160 hertz, pulse width modulation dimming. It will have, let's see, 3 pulse, 1 pulse, DC-like dimming, whatever the hell that means. 1800 nits, global maximum brightness. So it appears it's going to take a step back in maximum brightness, because if I remember, the OnePlus 12 was like mad bright. I think it was almost, I want to say double that, but it was way over 2000 nits brightness. So for whatever reason, and look, I don't really know the brightness race, the nits race. I don't really know. I think companies are starting to take a step back from that now. Who cares if you have the brightest display? I think once you get up to around 2000 nits, I think that's pretty freaking bright. It'll have 1800 nits. Oh, we just talked about that. Global maximum brightness. 1000 nits manual maximum brightness. HDR, Vivid, HDR 10 Plus, Pro XDR, Ultra Dynamic Display. Now let's look at the charging. Charging and battery. 6,000 Glacier battery. Now, this new Glacier battery is a new battery technology that we discussed, I think it was a couple of months ago. It's a new battery technology that they've patented. It charges faster, it lasts longer throughout the day, and it lasts longer over its lifetime. So instead of a typical lithium-ion battery that you'll find in your average smartphone nowadays, those will last basically 3 to 4 years before you really kind of need to replace the battery, right? I mean, this new Glacier battery technology that OnePlus has specifically designed and actually patented this design, supposed to last almost twice as long, meaning battery health. Not in the day, but I'm talking about over years. So if you have to replace a normal lithium-ion battery, 3 to 4 years, I believe this one's going to last for probably 6 to 7 years, which is awesome, because that's the life of the device. Because I think I don't know if OnePlus is going to bump up their software support for any more than what they are now. They should. I think it's 4 years, but Google is at 6 or 7 years of operating system support. But this new Glacier battery, this will be the first device they're going to release with the Glacier battery inside. So brand new battery technology, 100-watt wired charging, 50-watt wireless charging. This should charge a 0 to 100 in, I don't know, 20 minutes, something like that, 25 minutes. It'll be super quick. Some of the other specs, a single point. Now, I don't know what this means, and if you do, please let me know. Single point ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. I know what ultrasonic fingerprint scanner is, obviously, but what does single point mean? I don't know. Maybe we'll dive into that tomorrow. It will have the iconic OnePlus alert slider, the new generation Aqua Touch algorithm. So that's cool because if you use your phone in the shower, you're going to want this Aqua Touch technology or if you work outside, or if you work around lots of water, like you're a marine biologist, or you work at SeaWorld with Shamu, or you just use your phone in the shower every day, like I do. This is pretty cool because if I take my Samsung in the shower, the video's over. Let me put on another video. The drops from the water from the shower head or your finger, or I've had a case where I touch something on the screen at the top and then a bead of water rolls down my screen and then it pulls down my notification tray and I'm not even touching it. I can tell you that the OnePlus Aqua Touch is really cool because you can spray water, you can have a bead of water roll down your display, and nothing happens to your phone or to your display. It's almost like it knows your finger. It can tell the difference between a bead of water or a water drop or a finger, and it will not activate any on display functions if it knows it's water, or if it knows it's your finger, then it'll activate display touches. So that's really cool technology. I wish more companies would start implementing that. It'll have an ultra large bionic vibration motor, new generation of cooling system. So OnePlus has always been the leader in vapor chambers, in just device cooling management, dating back for years. Their phones notoriously don't get hot. You can run them all day in the South Texas heat and game on them, and they're cool as a cucumber. It'll be IP68 and /IP69 dust and water resistant, which is nice. Full area multifunction NFC. Again, they're putting some crafty words in here that I'll have to go back and do some homework on when this is over. Ultra linear dual speakers, a USB 3.2 Gen 1, a USB Type-C port, up to 5 gigabits of data transfer per second. Colors, blue, light gold, black. And if you're wondering, well, what the hell does it look like? Well, here you go. So here it is. Doesn't look all that different. You're going to see more different in the front display, but you're going to have to look closely because if you just glance at it, it's going to look like the OnePlus 13 is going to look like the OnePlus 12. However, they did change the front display slightly to a micro curved display, although it will look flat. You won't be able to see the bezels when you're looking at it. And then the back right here where the camera section does not have that platform that connects the camera circle to the left side of the phone. So if you look at a OnePlus 12 now, you see like a little platform on the left side of the circle. Well, they're eliminating that platform and just leaving that circle. So camera system, you're getting a 50 megapixel main sensor, 50 megapixel ultra wide lens, and a 50 megapixel telephoto lens. So you're getting a triple 50 megapixel setup, spectral sensor, and then performance. Next generation Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 flagship mobile platform. It'll have LDDR5X RAM, and it will have UFS storage 4.0. This shall be a flagship killer, even though it is technically a flagship. But what I mean by that is that it's going to cost like brand new, I think $799. So $799. You can get a spec'd out device that should beat most other Android phones in performance and just overall specs, compared to the top of the line Samsung S25 Ultra, going to be $1,300. you can essentially save $500 by getting the OnePlus 13. If you have not used a OnePlus, I strongly encourage you to take a look this year. I certainly recommend them. Camera system is actually the OnePlus 12 that I have takes better photos than the S24 Ultra. I know that's hard to grasp a hold of that reality, but it is a reality. The OnePlus 12 takes phenomenal photos, and I don't think this OnePlus 13, the upcoming OnePlus 13, is going to be any different. I think it's going to take badass photos. It's going to be a badass phone. It'll beat basically any other phone on the market, including iPhone. We saw leaks that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 CPU beats the Apple A18 Pro Bionic CPU in multiple benchmarking tests. So this shall be if you want a flagship device that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, this is the one to get, right? It's way under the competition price-wise, and it'll basically beat everything out there. So we'll keep a close eye on that. I am going to get one of these, so we will keep a very, very close eye on this. And we'll do a launch party or a launch stream when this gets launched and all that good stuff. So cannot wait. Now, what else we got? What else do we got? I'm going to have to go here soon. Android 16. Android 16. So Android 15 is not even out, right? Although Android 16, we got the word, it's just right around the corner. So how could this be? Why would this be? Well, apparently, this is how. Let's see here. So Android 16, we got word, codename is revealed with signs pointing to an earlier release, right? A report states that Google's internal codename for Android 16 has diverged from its typical naming cadence to baklava, kind of like the Greek, well, it is like the Greek dessert, right? Or the Greek finger food, whatever the hell it's called. Oh, it's called baklava. That's going to be the Android code name for Android 16. The next operating system also could launch much sooner next year as the last few versions of Android. Google has missed out on its usual Q3 Android launches for the last couple of Android versions. And it's kind of embarrassing, right? So the reason why they're going to release this early and this soon, it seems like everything's getting pushed up, right? You get the iPhone launch early, you get the Google launch early, Pixel launch early, you get the OnePlus 13 launch early, you get the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 launch early. Everything's moving up. I don't really know why, but hey, it's better for us, right? So this Pixel 9 series was planned on being released with Android 15. Like the day they announce the Pixel and release it is the day Android 15 comes out. They were supposed to do that with Android 14 and the Google Pixel 8 series, and Android 13 with the Google Pixel 7 series. Although both of those versions, previous versions, were not ready when the flagship launched. So the reason why they're moving in the release date of Android 16 up earlier is to make sure when the new Google Pixel 10 gets released next year, it will have the new version of Android on it. Because we were anticipating these new Pixel 9 series to launch with Android 15. Now, unfortunately, that did not happen. These are still on Android 14. However, Android 15 is right around the corner. It's still, what are we on? 6 weeks of having this Pixel 9 series? 5 weeks? And probably 6 weeks. And Android 15 is not in sight. Now, as I mentioned, the beta version's been out for a while, but it's still, until the public build, stable build is out and available, Android 15 technically has not been released yet. So they're moving Android 16 earlier to an earlier release date to guarantee when the new Pixel 10 comes out next year that it will be running Android 16 right out the box. And I think that's a really, really, really good idea. They're just trying to get ahead and circumvent all of these little issues they've been having in the past. And I think that's a great idea. It's not necessarily embarrassing because Android 14 on here on this new Pixel 9 is really, really good. But we've been on Android 14 for over a year. And, Google is a software company. So, it's kind of embarrassing for them with Android 15 not being ready, even when your new device launches. So next year they should eliminate that issue, and everything goes into play with this new Google Pixel 10 series. It's supposed to take off. It's supposed to be a really special launch for Google and Pixel users. So they're moving forward the next version of Android to a sooner launch date to make sure that special Series 10 Pixel is special in every way, and it will be running the newest version of Android. Now, I got some news here. So, interestingly enough, I got this news and I was like, say what? So check this out. There's a report that's saying Samsung is going to cancel the Samsung Galaxy S26. And when I saw that, I said, what? I said, it's not April Fool's, is it? I was like, what day is it? Of course, that was 4 months ago. So apparently this is not confirmed, but it has been talked about. It has been kicked around. The idea has been kicked around internally within Samsung as a company in their mobile division. And it looks like they do have some supporting evidence, honestly, to do that, to cancel the S26. Now, if you're thinking, well, how stupid could they be? Well, here's the catch. They're going to get rid of the S26 model, but they're still going to have the S26 Plus and S26 Ultra. So not quite. I thought they were, when I saw the headline, I thought they were canceling the whole, the whole S26 series. I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, what do you mean? What do you have to replace it? You're just going to give up? So apparently, and here's the proof that we have that would support their evidence. So this year, Samsung released their new tablet, the S10, Tab S10. Traditionally, they've had 3 models, like the S9, S9 Plus, and S9 Ultra, or the Tab S8, S8 Plus, S8 Ultra. So they've always had 3 models similar to their mobile division. For their flagships, the S24, S24 Plus, S24 Ultra. Well, the model that has not sold the best, in fact, and I thought they used to sell their smaller ones, the smallest out of the bunch, did pretty well in sales. In fact, that was false. The last 2 years, actually, the shocking number is the Ultra has been their highest selling model. And then this year, the Plus was in the number 2 position because they finally decided to upgrade the specs on the Plus. So the last 2 years, well, specifically this last year, the base model, the S24, the small one, was the lowest selling model. Now, same thing with the tablets. So this year, Samsung only released 2 flagship tablets. They released the S10 Plus, Tab S10 Plus, and Tab S10 Ultra. And it looks like they're going to do the same thing, not next year. So this upcoming year, here in a few months, we're going to have the S25, S25 Plus, S25 Ultra. But we're talking about the year after that. So not this S25 that's going to be released here in a few months. We're talking about the S26, which is almost a year and a half away. It looks like they're only going to release the S26 Plus and the S26 Ultra. And That's due to struggling sales, right? Not struggling, but we've seen the smartphone market kind of go up and down, right? So Apple, I've heard reports Apple has been struggling to sell iPhone 16 models, but when I go check my order, everything's sold out. So I'm like, well, how could that be if everything's sold out? Obviously, I don't know how many Apple produced, manufactured. That's the X factor that we don't know. But what is a fact is that smartphone sales have kind of struggled in recent past. So look, I don't have all the numbers in front of me. Obviously, Samsung does, right? Apple does. So they would be the best judge of that. And look, if it's just not worth it to them to produce a smaller base model, then they'll get rid of it, right? So if the numbers are steadily increasing higher and higher and higher every year, that the sales of the small phone are going down, but more people are buying the bigger models, well, that trend is probably just going to continue as time goes on. So they're obviously have all the data analysis in front of them and can kind of project the sales, so to speak, loosely in the future. And if it's just not worth it to them, right, to produce, remember, they have to buy millions upon millions of parts. They got to have suppliers and just everything for each model. Samsung has a ton of models, especially going down to the cheaper models, to the mid-range variants, all the way up to the flagship devices. But I believe the flagship devices, the more premium, bigger devices, sell better. It just does. For Samsung, that is. So don't be surprised. Again, this isn't confirmed, but they are kicking around the idea, right? Where there's smoke, there's fire. And the proof is that they only released 2 flagship tablet series this year instead of the traditional 3. So I can definitely see them getting rid of the small S26 and just having the S26 Plus and S26 Ultra around. So that may be the end of small phones. But Apple's coming out with their new SE. So you should have a smaller, cheaper iPhone here, and that those always sell well. So Apple's not concerned about that, right? But that'll do it for today. I appreciate you joining me. Got to attend to some work. Excuse me. But I am going to see if I can still get a hold of an iPhone. I've been looking around because I think my delivery date is. I think my delivery date is like October. It's so backed up. I think it's like October 16th. Like still weeks away, and I'm just like, ugh, man. So, I don't know. I might. I've been looking around a little bit, so I might grab a iPhone and let the fun begin. Kind of been waiting on that. I've been meaning to upload some pre-recorded videos, but kind of waiting on that iPhone to get in so we can really have some fun. But it is what it is. But I got to run, guys. Thank you for joining me today on this Tuesday afternoon, October 1st. I do appreciate it. And I will see everyone back here tomorrow. Please take care. Be safe. And wait, you got the 16 Pro Max? Interesting. You miss multitask. You can't multitask on iPhone. See how long it's been? I'm basically literally a new user. Like I haven't used an iPhone in. And this was a work iPhone, the last one I used, and it was an 8 Plus. So it's not like I was rocking a iPhone 11 back then, a newer one. The last time I used an iPhone had to have been 2019. It was right before the pandemic hit. And then, so that would have been like iOS, 13? So it's been 5 years or something 5 or 6 years since I've used even, the ones I have here, I don't use them. I just use them for case reviews. So I'm talking about like really dig into it and start using them. The camera button is a total gimmick. The iOS passwords app is amazing though. Wow. Good. It integrates into 2FA. You got yours on launch weekend. Damn, why is mine so backed up? Just bad. The multitasking. Interesting. Yeah, I might go see I may go jump on Apple and see what they have at our Apple store here and see what they got in stock. I may just go grab one, but it'll be fun. I don't know what to expect, so we'll just have to see. In-store pickup is usually quicker than shipping. Okay, well then that's what I'll do, because I checked on my shipping and 2 days ago it said October 22nd. I was like, what? And then yesterday it said October 16th. So I might fart around today. I don't know if I have time today, but because I think the malls, well, I'll get on Apple and see what I can do. So, and I'll just, yeah, so this shall be fun. Anyways, I'll deal with that, but thanks for those little insights. I'll see if I can get in-store pickup, but appreciate it, guys. Check me out tomorrow. I may have a new iPhone. I'm going to look this afternoon and tomorrow morning, and who knows, maybe I'll go live with the iPhone. So, should be interesting. I know that. So, appreciate it. Let me get out of here. I'll see y'all later. Please be safe and have a good afternoon. See you around tomorrow. Peace out.